Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, reveal the books I bought this week, and, if I screw up, a blooper reel. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that logo! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you for Clint's Comics here in Monroe, Louisiana. Now, you're probably wondering, Vic, why aren't you wearing a Comic Hero tee? There's a reason for that, and it's because I am 7 away from 8,000 comics. That's right, you heard me, 7. And I'm not going to, I have a shirt with me, but I'm not going to put it on until after I've counted 7. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? All right, now speaking of t-shirts, it's time to give away a free one. All right, last week's episode, I asked, who was the dying Green Lantern who gave up his ring to Hal Jordan? Well, the correct answer is Abin Sur. And 6 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names have been entered into the drawing for a free tee, and that takes place right now. So, the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is... the guy that requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight for this episode, D'Angelo Blue from Warren, Ohio. So congratulations, D'Angelo, you win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and this one is very easy. It's a Transformers question, you know, since Transformers The Last Night came out in theaters a few days ago. Oh, by the way, I went to see it last night. Definitely worth the ticket cost. Go ahead and see it. You'll love it. All right, this is a very easy one. And and if any of y'all know the answer to this question, don't yell it out. Wait and tell me off camera. Understood? All right. What planet are the Transformers from? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee in next week's episode of the show. Now, D'Angelo Blue, who just won a free tee in this week's episode, has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one is kind of different. It features a classic DC villain going up against a character who just came out with the first issue of his own book, despite originally being a cartoon character. Representing DC, we have Catwoman. And representing Dynamite Entertainment, we have Mighty Mouse. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call...
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Catwoman versus Mighty Mouse. Catwoman is an expert burglar, skilled martial artist, hand-to-hand combatant, and gymnast who utilizes bullwhips, sharp retractable claws, and spring-loaded climbing pythons. Mighty Mouse possesses flight, super strength, invulnerability, and X-ray vision. Who would win? This wouldn't be any regular cat and mouse fight. It's really far from it. Catwoman would strike first by attempting to crack her bullwhip on Mighty Mouse, but the latter grabs the whip and gives Catwoman a spin. To prevent from injury, Catwoman relies on her gymnast skills and lands on her feet. She then comes after Mighty Mouse with her claws, but ends up breaking them due to Mighty Mouse's invulnerability. The latter then ends the fight by knocking Catwoman out cold by flicking his index finger on her face. He then says, "At least she put up a fight unlike Old Can Harry. He couldn't fight the common cold." Mighty Mouse wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and if you have a fight request for future episodes, contact info is down there. Alright, here it is. The moment you all been waiting for, and me too. The comic books I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Alright, first up is The Mighty Thor number 20. Now, I'm still a little behind on this book, although what I can tell you is, though, in this book, Thor is a woman, and the identity is Dr. Jane Foster, and she's been having a lot of trouble being the god of thunder, and that's mainly because the first thing she had to deal with was Odin's son's father, Odin, wanting her dead, and Mjolnir taken away from her. And then there have been a lot of things. She even befriended an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then she was involved in an Asgardian Shi'ar war. And now she's having to deal with the all-new Ultimate Thor. All right, next up is Super Sons number 5. Now, this book stars Superboy, a.k.a. John Kent, and Robin, a.k.a. Damian Wayne. And their dads thought it was kind of a crazy idea to get together and form together as a team. Well, they really didn't like each other. And not only that, they had to go up against a new villain called Kid Amazo, who pretty much, now for those of y'all who don't know, Amazo is a villain who has all the powers of the Justice League. Now, what happened was that when the Justice League took down Amazo, Lex Luthor took it upon himself to create some kind of virus called the Amazo virus, and all of Gotham and Metropolis were plagued, but 97% were all cured of it, and one of them was this kid, and he decided to he was going to try to kill his family. Well, Superboy and Robin took care of business. They stopped him from taking down his family, and now they have to come home and deal with a very angry Alfred and Lois Lane. Ouch! Y'all in trouble, and make that a double. All right, next up is Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man number 1. I'm very excited about this one. Chip Zdarsky is writing it, and with artwork by the amazing Adam Kubert. Now, Adam is no stranger to Marvel. I mean, he's penciled X-Men, and his brother Andy used to pencil X-Men and Captain America. And really excited about this book because everyone knows I love me some Spider-Man. All right, next up is Superman number 25. This is the conclusion of Black Dawn. Now, a lot of things have happened. This all got started when the truth came out about Old Man Cobb and his granddaughter Kathy. They came out to be aliens who were doing the bidding of a classic Superman villain, and that villain is Manchester Black. And they ended up kidnapping Superboy and making him into an even stronger and somewhat more vicious half alien, half person. And his first objective, kill his old man. And this is the conclusion of that. All right, next up is Batman number 25. Now, this is the start of a new story arc called The War of Jokes and Riddles. And it mainly, if you just heard what I just said, I'd be astute to say that it pretty much centers around the Joker and the Riddler. But in the last issue I read, which was a standalone issue, he ends up having a talk with Gotham Girl, and Gotham Girl dropped some knowledge about the word fear. She pretty much told him, okay, just because you instill fear into others, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to feel it. And at first it kind of fell upon deaf ears, but then he thought, okay, she's right. I need to stop being such a stubborn mule. So what does he do? He invites Catwoman on top of Wayne Enterprises, and he proposes to her. Now, I read that issue, and I have a clip of what happened after I read that issue. Check it out. Governor came and took my baby! All right, next up is U.S. Avengers number 7. Now, this is a tie-in to Secret Empire. Captain America pretty much had a heart-to-heart with with Roberto da Costa, and it ended with him getting murdered. And now it's up for the rest of the U.S. Avengers to find out what the heck is going on here. All right, next up is Green Lanterns number 25. This is part of a new story called The Return of the First Lantern. Now, in previous issues, both Simon and Jessica have gone up against Dr. Polaris, and then they ended up going on Oa to receive additional training, with Kyle Rayner training Simon, and of all people, Guy Gardner training Jessica. And Jessica was getting real frustrated, but then she learned that, you know, along with brains you have to use brawn, and then Simon learned along with brawn you have to use brains, and that's a part of a new story arc. Now keep in mind, Return of the First Lantern. In earlier issues, the First Lantern, Volthoom, ended up swapping bodies with Rami, who was the Wayward Lantern who was discovered early on in the book. Okay. Now if I'm not mistaken, that's 7. I'll be right back. Y'all check out this graphic. I did it! 8,000 comics. But wait, hold up. I may have been 7, but I'm not done. All right, next up is Aquaman number 25. Now, Aquaman has really been through a lot. He had to help the U.S. government take down dead water, which they did successfully. But then when they got back to Atlantis, they found out that this villain, or this guy that Aquaman imprisoned, took over the throne as the throne of Atlantis. And you're probably thinking, Vic, why in the world would a bad guy take over Atlantis? Well, they kind of figured that Aquaman was too, I don't know, too surface world-like, as well. That's the Atlantean, what they call the Atlantis. That he was too much surface world and too much Atlantis. And then they decided to be all irrational and then get a bad guy to become the new king of Atlantis. I don't know what's really going on, but Dan Abnett has done absolutely nothing short. I mean, he, along with Jeff Parker and Jeff Johns, have done nothing but make Aquaman cool. Oh, and Jason Momoa, who will play Aquaman in the upcoming Justice League movie. And then finally, Invincible Iron Man number 8. Now, the current Iron Man, or should I say Iron Heart, Riri Williams, is now taking on the mantle of Ironheart. She built an armor all by herself, well, with the tutelage of an artificial intelligence version of Tony Stark. And she's pretty much took care of business, and then she's ended up getting invites from the likes of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then an all-new young superhero team called the Champions. All right. Now that's 9 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 8,002. Well, y'all, I did it. 8,000 comics plus 2. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And here's a question for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. All right, remember, don't yell at the answer, folks. Wait till afterwards. What planet are the Transformers from? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee in next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to D'Angelo Blue from Warren, Ohio, who won a free tee in this week's episode. Now, remember when, okay, by the way, a lot of y'all helped me design this shirt. And remember when when I asked y'all to do this and I told you that your vote will not go in vain? Well, I'm here to say that everyone who has answered have been entered in a drawing for a free tee, just like this one. And that drawing is about to take place right now, and I'm drawing 5 names. All right, so quite a few people. I think it was more than 50 or maybe 60 who voted. So the first name I'm going to draw is Chris McDaniel from Bossier City, Louisiana. So congratulations, Chris. You win a free 8,000 comic hero tee. All right. Now, the next name I'm going to draw is the co-owner of Stroke of Genius, Andrew Brown from West Monroe, Louisiana. So congratulations, Andrew. You win an 8,000 themed comic hero tee. All right, 3 more names to draw. So the next name I'm about to draw is Michael England from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So congratulations, Michael. You win an 8,000 themed comic hero tee. All right, 2 more. Next name I'm going to draw is Walt Stevens from Homer, Louisiana. So congratulations, Walt. You win yourself an 8,000 comics themed comic hero tee. All right, 1 more name to go. The last name I'm going to draw is going down, really down. We're going right in the bottom of it. Oh, one of my former co-workers, Joyquisha Ross. So congratulations, Joy. You win yourself a free 8,000 comics themed comic hero tee. All right. All right, it's birthday time here on the Comic Hero Show, and I want to wish a happy birthday this past Monday to one of my friends who I was in band with at Bossier Parish Community College, Travius Mack. Congratulations, and happy birthday this past Wednesday to one of my friends that I went to school with at ULM, Audrey Decote. Happy birthday this past Wednesday to one of my friends that I went to high school with at Homer High School, Rihanna Bolin. And then happy birthday this past Wednesday to one of my friends that I was in band with at Bossier Parish Community College. I mean, I'm about as close to him as a brother, my brother from another mother, Shannon Smith. And happy birthday this past Thursday to one of my friends that I went to junior high and high school with at Homer High School, Christy Sanders. And then happy birthday this past Thursday to my cousin, one of the greatest videographer and photographer around, Dennis Moore. And then happy birthday yesterday to my good friend, Wes Raines. Happy birthday today to my cousin, Lynette Butler. And then happy birthday to one of my friends I was in band with at Louisiana Tech many years ago, John Miller. All right. Wow. Just surreal. 8,000 comics. You know what? I've been collecting comics for nearly 20 years. I've read some good ones. I've read some bad ones. But one thing that I never regret is this old hobby of mine. And this is something that I'm definitely going to keep doing until I am physically unable to. In other words, if I go blind. Because I don't think they make Braille comics. Or do they? But anyway, the whole significance behind this WWE belt is because I did it. I'm a champion. I'm a champion in terms of comics. I'm a champion in life. I love this hobby. I love each and every one of y'all who have supported me throughout the years, and let's just keep this going. I'm just going to keep this going. And you know, it's really bittersweet that I did this here at Clint's, because I wanted to do this 2 years ago, but unfortunately we lost Clint. I was close to 7,000 comics back in 2015, but I know that he would be proud of me this day. There's no doubt in my mind. So Clint, this one's for you. All right, I'm Victor Nolly. I'm the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 172, right back here at Clint's Comics. So till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero. I did it! Woo! That's one blooper. All right, last week's episode, I asked, who was the dying Green Lantern who gave up his ring to Abin? And I just said the answer, blooper reel!